Welcome back to the Scions of the Summit dev playthrough. We're going to be starting off with Chapter 3 next, and hopefully we'll be able to show off some of the supports, because this is the chapter we're going to be able to start seeing those from now on. So as you can see here, we have a support menu and codex. You can actually manage characters between chapters now. We're also going to be getting access to the market next chapter, so not just yet, but that'll be a place where you have the opportunity to purchase items that you need. It's just going to be a lot of generic items for now. You may or may not add more weapons and items to the market at some point. It's up for discussion currently, but before we get into supports, and actually I'll mention the bonus EXP system. We don't have any right now, but we will be getting some from the Gaiden chapters, and hopefully some more chapters going forward, just so you can help get certain characters kind of closer to everyone else's level. Right now, something of note is that we might actually have to do an engine hack at some point, if possible, because how the bonus EXP works currently is that it doesn't really work one-to-one. So one EXP doesn't necessarily equal one true EXP for a character. So as a character levels up, it'll take more bonus EXP to actually gain experience over time, and that's just an LT feature, unfortunately. But again, hopefully you might be able to get it working to where it's a one-to-one EXP gain. If not, we might just end up having to give more bonus EXP later down the line for future characters. But anyway, I'm going to start off by showing the codex, which does have the library, and it's going to talk a little bit about each of the characters here. The thing that I do want to point out more, I mean, you can kind of use this as an opportunity to learn more about the characters. Something about Joanna actually is her personal skill that I didn't really talk about. It's called Tend to Me, but I wanted to talk about it here because it doesn't really go into detail about what it does on the actual skill description itself, but you can find it here in the codex for what those bonuses are. So if you were wondering what she could gain from standing next to characters, this is where you would get that information. So there's a lot of characters that will get added to the codex over time. This is actually the section that I really wanted to highlight more, because it talks more about characters and the countries, and just giving a little bit more world building for those who are interested. Again, some people might not know that this is here, but just in case that you kind of forget anything about the countries, this is where it'll tell you a little bit more about it, and I'll just go over each of them if you all want to read these. I also want to point out there's a couple names in here that might be a little bit difficult to pronounce. Something that we don't see too often in Fire Emblem. I know that some of them do or have been doing this more recently, but we have been giving at least the royal family's last names, so I'll try to pronounce these here. They do come up again a little bit later in one of the Gaiden chapters, and we'll get to that when we get to that. But I will make note that these families' names are actually not all ones that I came up with, and I'll get into why a little bit later once we get to the chapter where we see these names again, but I'm going to try to pronounce them. But anyways, the royal family of Canturnos is Carinides, and that would be the last name of our protagonists. This one's a little bit more self-explanatory, it's just Hartman. So this one, I might struggle to pronounce it myself, because it is a Russian last name, but I believe it's pronounced Korolkov. This one's also pretty easy to pronounce. It's Silva, or Silva. And this name right here, I know that some people might not be familiar with the pronunciations of, I guess, certain languages, so right here we don't learn too much about the academy in this particular section. We'll learn a little bit more in future parts, but it's called La Colegia, basically the college. This is another one where it's a lot of names that might be a little bit difficult to pronounce. I did not come up with the family name, but I believe it's pronounced Al-Harek. I could be wrong, though it was one of our other devs that came up with this. Yeah, and actually didn't really mention all the names. I'll probably go back to each of them at the end and I'll try to pronounce them all. And lastly, we have Kyofunoshima. And their last name is Asahi. So I'm actually going to go back and try to pronounce all the first names of characters, just because it might be a little bit helpful for some people. So like I mentioned, the last name is Carinides, under King Athen, and then he's the father of Corvus, Mithrius, and Feline, who are our protagonists. Well, not Corvus, but we'll see him later. So for Grandmere, again, as mentioned, the family name is Hartman, under King called Heinz, and the father of Godric and Melody. Whereas Semikora. Again, the last name is Korolkov. They're under Queen Yelena, and she's the mother of Kuzma, Grisha, and Sasha, who we'll see in this a couple chapters coming up. And then this one, the first names are probably a little bit more difficult to pronounce, but it's King Leomaris, and he's the father of Anjoras. And then this one as well. There's a lot of names that I might just end up butchering. But again, we have Queen Inara, the mother of Lila, or Layla. I like to pronounce it Lila, but again, the other devs might not agree. And her siblings Anwar, Nadir, and Sana. And then again, lastly for Kyofunoshima, again, the family of Asahi under King Yasuhiko, and he's the father of Koki. So that's going to be all of this here. Again, if you really want more information on these, then you can go back to the codex and watch them all. I am going to go through all of the support conversations just so I can show off some of the mechanics later, because we do have a mechanic where if you get an A support with 2 characters, you will end up gaining a special A support skill for both of them, and it's going to be kind of like it's a separate skill, but it essentially functions like an extension of the current personal skill that they have, but it's going to be only when they're in range of that other character. So you'll notice that I'll try to have certain characters on the map a little bit more, even if it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense as to why, but it's just because I'm going to try to showcase this. I'm probably going to do this for Ryosuke and Mina, specifically because they do have certain conversations that show up on maps, depending on if you actually get their support chains maxed out, or at least up to B, so that's what I'm going to be attempting to do. But anyways, we'll be going through all of these, and I'll make a cut so that I can separate this just on my end for recording purposes, and then we'll move on to the maps themselves. It might be a little bit longer too, because we are going to be seeing 3x after this as well, so it's going to be a bit of a longer part. But again, without further ado, also it might be a little bit distracting again with Astria and her weird issues with her animations, so again, hopefully that's not too distracting for right now. We are going to fix it later. Also, something to keep in mind about the supports is that we don't have a limit on how many C or B supports you can get, but every character is limited to 1A, so feel free to watch every single one of the supports. You won't be penalized for it. all of the supports that we have available for right now. A little bit of a teaser on a character that's coming up soon. Since this is a little bit longer, I am probably going to separate this into 2 different videos to do the next chapter, as well as 3X might be its own separate chapter because I'm going to do some supports there as well. But again, thank you all for joining, and hopefully I can post both the supports alongside the chapters that they're associated with on the same day.